See, the alignment of the 2026 planetary clusters with the birth charts of the United States and Russia, even China, reveals why this period is considered a red alert in Vedic astrology, especially in mundane astrology, where we predict the world events. So, the most widely accepted Vedic mundane charts of USA and Russia, if you observe, USA, some people treat it as Sagittarius rising, but it is not so correct. It is definitely Leo rising, that is Leo ascendant, and Russia is Virgo rising, and China is Capricorn rising. So, the 37-day window, that is from 18th January to 23rd February. This whole thing is is really very intensive period, I would say. So the USA's rising sign is of course one of the debatable topics in mundane astrology, but most accepted thing is it is of Leo ascendant. And if you look at the Leo rising, that is Simha Lagna chart for the USA, you can see why Leo rising is very much important for 2026. If the, let us say, most widely accepted thing is USA is Leo rising. So the February 2026 five planet conjunction in Aquarius happens exactly in the seventh house of USA's uh, astrology chart. So the seventh house significance in mundane astrology is a seventh house basically represents foreign relations, open enemies, and war also. So the February hit, the 17th and 23rd, that is Aquarius clusters, exactly opposite to the Leo rising, having the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Rahu in the seventh house during solar eclipse, that is on 17th February, suggests a total breakdown of international treaties and the emergence of a powerful open enemy for USA. And by 23rd February, the Mars entry in 23rd February. So when Mars joins this particular cluster in the seventh house, it creates a classic war signature. It suggests the USA being drawn into a direct kinetic conflict on foreign soil or facing a direct challenge from a major adversary. And if you think in terms of assassination or a kind of leader removal risk, a Leo rising chart makes the February 17th solar eclipse and the February 23rd Mars Rahu conjunction extremely personal for the country's leadership. Because Sun as the Lagna Lord here, so for a Leo rising, the Sun represents the head of the state, that is the president itself. And the eclipse shadow, that is on February 17th, the Sun, that is the leader, is eclipsed by Rahu in the seventh house, that is the house of the other, or you can say a kind of heavy risk in some contexts. So this is a power outage for the leader. And the 1-7 axis, that is Leo rising, and in the seventh house you have all this clusters coming into the picture. So the conjunctions happen in Aquarius directly opposing the Leo ascendant. This is like a massive weight pushing against the very identity and life force of the nation's leadership. So, in a Leo rising chart, these February 2026 transits point to a fall from grace or a sudden removal of the leader due to external pressure, or if not sudden removal, there is a heavy conspiracy because Rahu is involved here, or a kind of military intervention, that is Mars. So it's not a very peaceful period for USA here. So the 1-7 axis, that is Leo and Aquarius, is the axis of the king and the people, because Leo is the king and Aquarius is the mass, the people. So the Leo basically represents the centralized power, the king, the unique ego, and Aquarius is the masses, it's the collective, it's the two countries or blocks of people that we generally mention in Vedic astrology. So, with Rahu and the eclipse hitting this particular axis, this Leo Aquarius axis, the separation you see in Venezuela and the USA isn't just a political disagreement, it is an astrological phenomenon. So the world literally splits into two opposing ideologies. One side will follow the old power, that is Leo, and the other will follow the new collective, that is Aquarius or Rahu. So basically, if you see Leo rising countries, so most of the people say USA is indeed Leo rising. Then if the USA is, of course, if the USA is indeed Leo rising, the 5-planet war in February 2026 isn't just a celestial event, it is a direct combat phase for USA. So the Bhavishya Malika's prediction, or other famous text prediction for 2026 World War, aligns perfectly with a Leo rising chart, as the planets are concentrated in the house of open warfare. So then how about Russia and China? To understand the winner and the target of these 2026 clusters, we should look at the lagnas, the rising sign of the countries and their leaders, especially for Russia and China. See, when 5 planets war in a single sign, the planet with the highest dignity dictates the outcome, while the houses they occupy in a nation's chart tell us where the kind of this negative word I want to use, where the blood will spill, you know. So Russia and China, if you observe the rising signs of Russia and China, so for modern mundane astrology, modern astrology, clearly Russia is treated as a Virgo rising country, the Kanya Lagna country. So the January hit, if you observe the cluster happened, that's going to happen, of course, on 18th January. That is actually in the 5th house, because that is Capricorn for right, Russia. So if you see from Virgo rising, Capricorn is the 5th house. That is, 5th house in mundane astrology represents strategy or diplomacy. So Russia will be the thinker planning a massive move. And if you observe the February hit from the Virgo rising, Aquarius is the 6th house. 6th house is, of course, war, enemies, and military. So the cluster here shifting to, so from strategy or diplomacy phase, Russia is moving, because the Capricorn thing is strategy and diplomacy phase of Russia, because that is the 5th house, Capricorn. Then 6th house is Aquarius. So that is the war or enemy or military region for Russia. So the cluster from moving from 5th house to 6th house, this is a classic war signature. It suggests Russia enters a state of direct military mobilization or conflict late in February. Right? And what about China? China is considered as Makara Lagna, that is Capricorn rising. Then the January hit, if you observe, the 5-planet cluster happens in the 1st house in the rising itself, the self or identity. So this indicates a total rebirth or a radical change in China's national character or leadership structure. Because Capricorn ascendant, China is Capricorn ascendant. So there is going to be a radical change in China's national character or leadership structure after this 18th January. And the February hit, if you observe, the cluster moves to the 2nd house now. So that is wealth or resources. So this suggests a massive economic reset or a kind of weaponization of their currency, because 2nd house represents the wealth and resources. And if you see who can be the winner, the winner of January 18th, of course, the January 18th, the planetary war is in Capricorn. So the January 18th, in this the 5 planet battle is in Uttarashadha. We look at the strength of these 3 contestants: Russia, China, USA. So here Mercury and Venus are kind of losers because they are blinded by the sun. So this means diplomacy, trade agreements, and peace talks, all of them have no impact. They will lose. So the winners, as Mars is exalted, it is in the Uchasthana in Makara, that is in Capricorn. So even though it is near the sun, an exalted Mars is the general. It is the winner. It is the absolute power. So the winner of January 18th is military might. That is the military power. The world decides that power is right. So whoever has the strongest army, that is Mars, right? Whoever has the strongest army, going to win the argument over whoever has the best economy, that is Venus or Mercury. So the 18th January is something like whoever is having the strongest army is the winner, because Mars is the winner in Capricorn among all the planets. So whoever has the strongest army, he is going to be the winner for 18th January conjunction. What about the 17th January and 23rd January? That is the critical window, right? So astrologically, an assassination is triggered by Mars, that is the weapon, and then Rahu, the conspiracy, plus the sun involvement should be there because he is the king. So the critical window here is 17th February to 23rd February 2026. So the most at-risk leader is someone with Leo or Aquarius rising or moon signs. That is the one. So the USA connection, if you observe, USA is often viewed through a Leo rising lens, and especially even Donald Trump is a Leo rising person, right, as per the sources. So the February 17th eclipse, this eclipse happens in Shatabhisha Nakshatra, which is the 7th house. That is the high risk pattern for a Leo leader. So it suggests a shadow strike, a conspiracy that is not seen coming, kind of. So it's not a very 17th February eclipse is not at all a good sign for Trump, right? And especially for USA. And 23rd February, the Mars Rahu hit with 3 other planets. So this is a kind of assassination signature that we're discussing. So Mars and Rahu together create an explosive violent energy in Vedic astrology. So in the sign of Aquarius, that is the masses or public. So it suggests an attack that happens in a highly public or technological setting, because Aquarius is also about technology, right? So kind of broadcasting live or via kind of drone or AI. So kind of, because Aquarius is that. And if you observe, this can lead to some kind of World War III. And if you analyze in those terms, so you can see the famous texts like Bhavishya Malika or Kalagnanam. They clearly explained a phase where world is going to split into two. That is after Second World War. Not, they did not mention anything. They did not mention this, right? Before World War II, they explained clearly that after World War II only this would happen. So these conjunctions provide the physical mechanism for that split, I feel. So especially the economic split, that is on 18th January, whatever you're seeing, that is a kind of economic split only. Nations are forced into 2 currency blocks, right? And if you aren't with the general, if you aren't with the army, that is the Mars, because Mars is the winner on 18th January. So you are sanctions, you are a kind of, you're sanctioned, right, out of existence, I can say. Because 18th January is a kind of currency war. Nations are forced into 2 currency blocks. And the kinetic trigger I can see is February 17th to 23rd, that is the kinetic trigger. A major assassination or a kind of false flag event during the solar eclipse creates the point of no return. So this particular this kinetic movement, it is going to rise day by day. So I would say Russia, from Virgo ascendant, the 6th house is impacted, and the USA, the 7th house is impacted. 6th house is for war and 7th house is open enemy. So they find themselves in a direct face off that the even Malika says it's something like it's a kind of total global cleansing kind of impact. So that's what we can see here, right? So I would say now, if you think in terms of who is the winner in this whole conflict, USA, China, or Russia? So we're already in the mid of January 2026. The war is a kind of about to begin, the planetary war, and of course the same thing can be reflected on the earth. So it's something like, it's to determine the winner among these three countries, USA, China, and Russia. We need to think in terms of, if I think in terms of Graha Yuddha, that is planetary war occurring in the sky, and how these planets hit each country's Lagna, the rising sign. So based on the alignment of the 5 planet clusters, 18 January, 17th February, 23rd February, then on 18th January, the planetary war in Capricorn involves Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, as we discussed. So the winner here is Mars, because Mars is exalted. So in Vedic astrology, an exalted planet wins almost any Graha Yuddha, right? So although it is Kambash, we say it is the winner. So it's raw military strength that's going to be the winner. What this means, raw military strength, in the sense the world will see a kind of military victory. Whoever is having lot of military, great military, is the winner for 18th January, that planetary conjunction. The diplomacy, dialogue, because Venus and Mercury are completely not good here. They are defeated by military force, that is Mars, right? And also the state authority, that is Sun. So 18th January is whoever is having more military, more great military in the world, he is the winner for 18th January. And if you see the ultimate winner, that is 17th February and 23rd February, it is suggesting a rise of the third power. So we cannot say even the winner is USA, China, and one of these, USA or China or Russia. You may not say one of these three countries also, because it's the end of Kali Yuga by Chaitra Shukla Padhyami, that is by April. It's a kind of end of Kali Yuga. We are going into another phase, right? We're all going into a new Yuga. That is a kind of, so initially there is a kind of transition period, because all the people should be prepared for that. So that's a great period. Whatever is going to come is a great period, but before that we need a severe cleansing, right? That cleansing is going to be started, I think, from 18th January. It will be started, and it already started, as I said, on 29th December itself. I said 29th December is a kind of ending. It's clearly showing ending, right? You can watch that video as well. So the world splits into the Western Bloc and Eastern Bloc here. Both consume themselves, in this conflicts. And if you see some of the scriptures, some of the old scriptures, there are different opinions on it, but we will try to understand who can be the winner in our next video. But definitely there is going to be a rise of the third power in the world. Thanks for watching this video.